The meeting is now reconvened to open session. The board would like to remind the public that this meeting is being audio and video recorded and is also available via live stream. The live stream link can be found on the front page of the RUSD website. Trustee Sutherland, will you please report out action taken in closed session?
Yes. In closed session, the board took action to place certificated employee number 8004 on immediate unpaid leave of absence pursuant to Education Code Section 44940B. The vote was unanimous. Also, in closed session, the board voted to approve the appointment of Maureen Duffy for the position of .5 FTE Assistant Principal at Rocklin Elementary School. The vote was unanimous.
Yay, welcome, Maureen. All right, tonight we have Nikki Telez from Victory High School as our student board representative. Nikki, will you please introduce the color guard and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Rocklin Unified School District's Junior ROTC Color Guard and the Pledge of Allegiance. The commander and U.S. flag bearer for this colors evening guard is Cadet Major Audrey Threlkel. The state flag is carried by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel McKenna McVicker. The right guard is Cadet First Lieutenant Isaiah Brizuela. The left guard is Cadet Captain Gavin Lee. The alternate for tonight is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Laguna.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Forward. March.
Thank you, that was amazing. Now moving to our special recognition and presentations portion of the meeting. Chief Dosanjh, will you introduce our family partners in education recognition tonight?
Good evening, President Hupp, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. The Family Partners in Education program is an opportunity for the Rocklin Unified School District to acknowledge and appreciate family engagement and involvement, thereby supporting our students in achieving excellence throughout the school year. Tonight, Rocklin High School Principal Mike Pappas is introducing the Felkins family for tonight's Family Partners in Education recognition.
President Hupp, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Stock, on behalf of Rocklin High School, it's an absolute honor tonight to get to recognize the Felkins family. So they've been just a pillar of the Rocklin High School community for just about 10 years. So Catherine Felkins, she was a former instructional aide with us at Rocklin High School, but has remained with us and has been running the football snack bar for the last 4 years. If there's one thing I can tell you that I've learned as an administrator is that if you don't have a well-functioning football snack bar on a Friday night, you will absolutely hear about it. And so just want to say how much we appreciate just the numerous hours and the dedication that she puts into running just a phenomenal snack bar. So want to thank Catherine for that. Now, it's important to share that it's not just Catherine who's helping with this, but her husband, Will, if he is available and not on duty. So just, you know, he's a part of the Rocklin Fire Department, so he's on duty tonight. But if he's available, he's right there helping out, supporting. And then the other piece I just want to add in that we truly appreciate is that there are numerous times a year where our first responders come to help us out at Rocklin High School, and sure enough, Will is there multiple times a year. So just really appreciate all that Will does to support our students, our school, both in the snack bar and just making sure we're safe. And finally, want to talk about just their two magnificent kids. So Olivia, so she's a 2022 Rocklin graduate. And you're thinking, hey, it's a Friday night, Thursday night, she could be doing something else. Where is she? She's right there at Rocklin High School helping out in the snack bar as well and providing just the assistance. And then Brock, who has played on our football team on the nights where he wasn't playing. So Thursday night, freshman football, sure enough, Brock is there, or if he's done, or if he has time, he's there helping out. The other piece I just want to say is that it's so important that families like the Falcons make a huge difference in Rocklin. One thing I can say when I moved out here is that I could tell families in Rocklin care about education and care about bolstering our schools, and we couldn't do the things that we do at Rocklin High School without magnificent families like the Falcons family. So just want to thank them. We are proud of them, and really just want to say thank you so much one more time to the Falcons family.
Okay, let's welcome the Falcons family. Come on up. Well, it is my honor on behalf of the board and the entire district to publicly recognize you. We say this often, but we mean it. We literally could not do what we do without the support of the incredible families in our district. So thank you for going above and beyond. As a mom of 4, over the years, we have been recipients of the snack bar and volunteers a time or two, and I know that that is no easy task. And so thank you again for going above and beyond the way you serve your husband as well, who I know is unable to be here tonight. We so appreciate you. So again, on behalf of the board, we'd love to recognize together the Falcons family. Thank you. I heard we have a little treat for you as well. Okay, enjoy on us. You're welcome.
All right, Chief Dosanjh, will you please introduce our 2 employee recognitions tonight?
President Hupp, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. Tonight for our first employee recognition, Granite Oaks Middle School Principal Jay Holmes will introduce us to introduce Alyssa Drew.
Good evening, President Hupp, honorable trustees, Superintendent Stock. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. I'd first like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to honor one of our employees at all of our campuses. It really means a lot to us. We have so many people doing so many wonderful things for kids and our fellow staff members. It really means a lot to honor them. Alyssa Drew is going to be with us tonight with her mom, Erin. We are so lucky to have Alyssa on our campus. She is one of the people that really exemplify what it means to be in education and to serve others. She's a person that I can go to whenever we need something to help students on our campus, and she'd be like, sure, I got this, I'm there. She has worked in our RSP classrooms, our SDC classrooms. She has worked in our gen ed classrooms. She does whatever is needed to help our students and our staff out and to succeed. Currently, she's working with our students in our ASD program, and she does magnificent kids with who have quite severe disabilities. And she's there every day helping them out and doing whatever it takes to help them succeed on our campus. We are truly, truly lucky to have Alyssa be a member of our Grand Oaks Nest. And, oh, by the way, she's taking over the Grand Oaks Middle School dance team next year. So we are super excited for that as well. She's a kind-hearted soul and just a wonderful person. So thank you for allowing us to honor her as the Grand Oaks Middle School person who makes such a difference on our campus.
Hi, Alyssa. Congratulations on this recognition. I'm happy to present this to you on behalf of the board. A little certificate. You know, I know special education, it can be physically, emotionally taxing. I know at this point in the school year, this late date in the school year, you know, we really rely on each other to keep things going, keep things positive. And so just hearing everything that he had to say about you and how you contribute to the team, you go the extra mile, you're even taking on more, hopefully very fun and positive responsibilities, but responsibilities nonetheless. So just thank you so much for everything you do for Granite Oaks, and we really appreciate you.
President Hub, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. For our second employee recognition, Rukla Elementary School Principal Lara Kikosiki will join us to introduce Kim Delmaro.
Hey, good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Stock. We are as excited, Rukla, to be here tonight to recognize Kim Dalmau for the incredible work that she does as a special education aide as well at Rukla Elementary School. Kim supports students not just in the classroom, though, but all throughout the entire school day, making sure they have the structure, encouragement, and support they need to be successful. She builds strong relationships with students and staff, and because of that, she helps create a school environment at Rukla where students feel safe, cared for, and ready to learn, and where staff know that they can count on her. One of the things that really stands out about Kim is how she shows up for others. She's a true team player who is always willing to jump in and help wherever she's needed. If something comes up, she responds right away and gets to work. She has a strong instinct for how to support students and often steps in without needing any direction. Whether she's working in the classroom, helping students during transitions, or supporting in unexpected situations, she approaches everything with flexibility and care and a smile. Her calm, steady presence brings consistency for students and makes a big difference in their day and is something staff really relies on. Another thing that makes Kim so special is the way she goes above and beyond for the entire school community. You'll often see her out at the crosswalk in the morning, greeting students, helping out in the lunchroom, or supporting during PE. She's always thinking about what students need and how to make things better for them. For example, she noticed an opportunity to build more engagement during PE and suggested a PBIS incentive ticket that we've now adopted at our school. She also volunteers to go on field trips just to help out with the kids that she knows will need a little bit of extra support. So the impact that she makes at our school really does happen each and every day. She is someone who can always be counted on. She brings a level of care and commitment that truly makes a difference, and it's inspiring to all of us. Her teamwork, her flexibility, and her genuine love for students makes her an invaluable part of our school community, and we're very excited to be here tonight to recognize her, and I'm excited that we have a team of people here to cheer her on. So thank you all for this opportunity.
Come on up. This is the best part. All the fun goodies, of course. There you go. So thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration to the folks at Rukla. Thanks for helping out. Thanks for stepping up. Thanks for being that universal go-to person. I know with special ed, I know with the kids, from being out in the front at recess or at crossing to stepping in, it's a huge help. Thank you. Thank you for the parents that aren't here that can't say thank you. I'll say thank you for them. Thank you for the teachers. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for keeping Rukla a great place to be. Thank you. I can't. Are you a good friend or a bad friend? I can't.
All right, we now invite Tony Limoges, Associate Superintendent of Human Resources, to introduce the principal, Twin Oaks Elementary School, Katie Tweltridge.
Thank you, President Hupp. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Stock, Miss Georgia. It is always my pleasure to introduce a new administrator into the family. And so tonight I am proud to bring up Katie Tweltridge as the new principal of Twin Oaks Elementary School. Come on up. So Ms. Tweltridge was approved by the board as principal of Twin Oaks Elementary during or at the April 7th, 2026 special board meeting. And let me just say a few things about you, and then you have a chance. She's a seasoned educational leader with a strong background in instructional leadership and MTS implementation. She's been an elementary school teacher in Fairfield, Sassoon, Davis, and in Rocklin. Has been with us since 2018, worked at both Valley View and Quarry Trail. She was very successful as a PBIS team lead and has been instrumental in moving these programs forward. She also served as assistant principal for summer school in RUSD, and she is currently serving as a assistant principal at both Quarry Trail and Rocklin Elementary, and she is well positioned to be an outstanding new principal at Twin Oaks. So congratulations, Katie.
Good evening, President Hupp, Board of Trustees, and Mr. Roger Sock. I first want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm super excited. I've been working my tail off to get to this point, so I'm very excited for this position, and thank you for your faith in me. I will do a great job. I have a few things that I do want to say thank you to a few people, if that's okay. First, I'd like to say thank you to my husband. He has been my rock and supported me through day one. He's my ride or die. And then I also want to thank Melanie Moss and Amanda Makis, who have been pivotal in my success in this district and have guided me and spent many, many, many hours making me a success. And so I'm super excited to be here, and I love Rocklin Unified School District. Go Rocklin. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say welcome. We're very excited to have you. We've had nothing but glowing reports about you and the job that you've already done in our district and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you in this new position. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I just have to say, I love your excitement. It's just beautiful in the room to see you so excited. And I know that our students and our families and our staff will be excited to have you at the helm. So thank you so much, and look forward to see all of the great things you bring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, super excited having some experience with you as a principal at Quarry Trail with my girls, and just seeing how engaged you are with the families there and always out and visible and present. And I think you're going to bring really great energy to the school. So thank you for stepping up.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank
From
you.
2018 all the way through Sunset Ranch, Quarry Trail. Looking forward to everything great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We want to thank you all and your families for joining us, and while you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, we also know that you have busy lives, and now would be a respectful and acceptable time to sneak out the back door. All right, we do not have a report from RTPA this evening, so next we'll welcome CSEA President Elizabeth Salazar to present the CSEA report.
Good evening, President Hupp, members of the board, and Superintendent Stock. I hope you're all having a good evening. It's so great to see Katie Twelridge do the things she's doing, to see her coming from being a teacher into this great position. It's just fun to see the growth. On behalf of the CSEA Chapter 773, I'd like to start my report by highlighting a very special occasion. Today, April 22nd, is Administrative Professionals Day. So if you did not appreciate your administrative professionals today, you have a chance to do it tomorrow. This is a time we officially have paused to recognize the essential contributions of our administrative staff. But for those of us in schools, we know their value is proven every single day of the year. Our school front offices are the heartbeat of our campus. They are the first faces families see, the calm voices in times of stress, and the logistic experts and masterminds who keep our operations running smoothly. While their hard work is constant throughout the school year, we are now entering what is one of the busiest times of the year. As we look forward to the finish line of 2026 or 2025-26 school year, our front office professionals are moving into high gear. They are the ones behind the scenes managing the heavy lifting for spring performances, coordinating schedules and logistics for the many arts and music events across our sites, promotions and graduations, preparing the records, certificates, chairs, all the things, and the details that make these milestones possible for our students and their families. We also have the great task of making sure that everyone in Rocklin has a seat next fall as we start our new school year. Whether we are answering phones, supporting site administrators, or ensuring our students have what they need to succeed, their dedication is what makes Rocklin Unified such a special place to work and learn. To all of our administrative professionals across the district, thank you for your tireless work, for everything you do to help us finish this school year strong. This is not a personal platform of me just because I'm a secretary, but I just think across the board, we as a district, as principal secretaries and as front staff, we really work collaboratively. We constantly get phone calls from parents when they're in need of something, and we're able to branch out to the other secretaries and other clerks to get that information. And when we call them back in such a fast way, the parents are like, how did you get all that information that fast? And it's like because of the strong network that we have built within this district. So happy Administrative Professionals Day for everyone. Additionally, I'm really excited to announce that for many years, the CSEA, our chapter, was declining in numbers. We struggled to reach the 300-member milestone. However, after working tirelessly for the past year, our community has grown, and we have officially surpassed 315 members that are strong here in CSEA. So those are two things I wanted to share today that I'm quite proud of, and that's all I have for this report.
Elizabeth, thank you, and happy Administrative Professionals Day.
Thank you.
And congratulations on reaching your 315 milestone. That's
Yeah.
impressive, and I know
Yeah.
that takes a lot of hard work on the backside.
It does, it does. We had to do lots of relationship rebuilding, so.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And also, we really appreciate your positive reports. We appreciate the reminders of all the great things that are going on behind the scenes in our district. It really is a great reminder for us to keep our eyes open and watch for all those people who are making our district run so smoothly.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now to comments and a report from our student board representative, Nikki. Will you please share your report?
First and foremost, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Earth Day. And on behalf of RHUSD, here are the following updates. At Valley View Elementary, they still remain a bustling hub of learning and growth, where we currently are enjoying collaborating with families during conferences to share assessments, data, and collaborating student progress. Our educators continue to refine instructional strategies to ensure we are meeting the unique needs for every learner through inclusive and differentiated practices. Beyond the classroom, students have engaged in rich experimental learning with the trips to the Hamburger Farm, Bernard Hard Museum, Coloma, the Railroad Museum, and Sacramento Zoo. We are also thrilled to debut our walk and talk path, funded through one-time facility grants, which provided a dedicated space for students' wellness and social and emotional connection on our blacktop. Finally, we are deeply grateful for our PTC's dedication in hosting our recent family dance, monthly spirit nights, and our successful first ever book swap. At Whitney High School, these are the upcoming and ongoing events. Winter Percussion Ensemble won the NCBA AA championships at Del Oro last weekend. Their dedication and hard work led to a perfect season, winning first in all 5 competitions. Multicultural Night is coming up the week of April 25th. This will also conclude with a cultural event on Friday, May 1st from 5 to 7. Seeing Through the Cloud, a parent-student guide to vaping presented by the Placer County Public Safety Health in partnership with Rocklin Unified School District was held in the Whitney High School Theater. Athletic Signing Day on Thursday, April 30th at 1:15 p.m. Save the day as we honor our 2026 graduating seniors who are committed to play in the NCAA NAIA Next Level. The signing ceremony will be held in the small gym. At Breen Elementary, the 3rd graders are going back in time to the 1880s this week. They will dress in costume and do chores as children did back then. They will even grind the wheat, churn the butter, and bake biscuits in a wood-burning stove. The 5th grade students at Breen are hosting their annual Breen Amusement Park. At the event, students will show off their working roller coasters, share design and budget challenges, and students will show off and they will have fun letting the Breen students roll marbles down their tracks. TK has been enjoying their brand new play structure that was installed over spring break. They will end the month of April with a field trip to the Roseville Theater to see the play Elephant and Piggy. 2nd grade performs the musical Rumpus in the Rainforest for all students and families in the month of April. At Sierra Elementary, our Sharks just performed their annual show, Dance is Joy, a celebration of dance from around the world, where they performed cultural and historical dances connected to their IB units. Thanks to Sierra PTC for their financial support of the program. Speaking of the PTC, they just hosted a wonderful school auction that raised huge funds to support Sierra's IB program. Thank you, Sierra PTC. Coming up, 6th graders are hard working on their art-infused IB exhibition projects. We invite our district leaders to come and check it out. The big reveal of Trustee Derek Counter's vision of mountain exhibition t-shirts from over the years will be on display, thanks to the hard work Mr. Brett Hunter and his Whitney High BITA students. Thank you, Trustee Counter and Mr. Hunter. At Rocklin High School, they held a school-wide barbecue last Friday, thanks to the students for their exceptional participation rate in the statewide CAASPP testing for the 2025 school year. We appreciate the great support from our nutritional service team and the staff members that pitched in to make it a fantastic event. Our junior students are currently in their CAASPP testing week, and we wish them the luck as they complete their exams. Rocklin High School is proud to share that they are being recognized this Friday night at Anaheim, California, as a 2026 California Distinguished School. 4 members of the Rocklin High School staff will be heading down to accept the recognition on behalf of Rocklin High School. Go Thunder! At Rock Creek, our TK Pups are preparing for their annual play, Goldilocks, which will be performed on Monday, April 27th. In addition, our Bulldog Theater Arts Club is working hard on finishing the touches of our school-wide performance of The Wizard of Oz that will take place on Saturday, May 2nd. Rock Creek Elementary is looking forward to celebrating the Filling the Tube with Red Hawk tickets for the second semester, a school-wide incentive for Red Hawks to earn enough Red Hawk tickets each semester to fill our gigantic tube by showing respect, making good decisions, and solving problems. This trimester, we are going to have a school-wide honor of play on May 4th with fun outdoor activities and indoor crafts for students to choose from. Rock Creek is grateful for their generous PTC for supporting these fun initiatives. In addition, we cannot wait to pump it up for our 3rd to 6th graders to kick off CAASPP testing for the week of May 4th. We wish them the best of luck and know they are going to rock it. At Twin Oaks, they have been experiencing exciting and busy weeks ahead. On Thursday, we host our multicultural dance show celebrating the diversity of our school's community. Friday brings our spring carnival along with the kickoff of our spring book fair, which will run through April 28th. Looking ahead, our 2nd graders will visit the Wood Creek Nature Center on April 30th for a field trip. And our 3rd graders are actively participating and preparing for their upcoming performance in Goin' Buggy. In addition, 3rd through 6th graders, the Timberwolves, are gearing up for their CAASPP testing, which will begin on May 4th. Last but not least, from Rocklin Alternative Education Center, Victory High School's Interactive Club once again put a service for self by hosting a food and clothing drive. Thank you to the incredible support and generosity of our community. We received enough donations to restock the Panther Care Closet to support our students' needs, including food, clothing, hygiene products, and other apparel. Last Friday, Victory High Schools conducted our Q3 award ceremony recognizing students for their academic attendance and their character achievements. A record of 38% of students obtained either honor or principal list status. Also, we would like to extend special thanks to our friends in the district throughout the community who came out to support our annual blood drive last month. Thank you.
Wow, Nikki, great job. That was amazing, and it is always so fun to hear all that's going on around our district. So many fantastic things. So next we have comments from the board and superintendent. Trustees, do you have comments?
Well, first, I echo thanks, Nikki. I always love hearing the reports. So many great things you highlighted. The food and clothing drive, the roller coasters. I remember only doing bridges with toothpicks. I don't think I got to do a roller coaster as a kid, so that sounds fun. And then the elephant and piggy performance. I hadn't heard about that yet. My 2 younger boys are huge elephant and piggy fans. If you haven't read the books, it is very fun to make up voices to go along with the characters. And no, I will not be doing that from the dais, but they ask me most nights to read elephant and piggy books. So thank you for highlighting. It's always good for us to get to hear kind of from the boots on the ground. Appreciate you being here, Nikki.
Thank you.
Just a couple updates that I thought would be good to share. Trustee Price and I sit on the facilities committee, and we've been hard at work. I know I often give updates on that committee, but that is a committee, I'm pretty sure, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago when I was told that committee only met once or twice a year. I think I got a little bit of a bait and a switch on that committee, but it is an incredibly important committee. We have many, many campuses that it's really important that all of our students, no matter where they live in our district, they have have access to the best of the best facilities. And we have incredible facilities teams. We thank you for the great work that you are doing, and our teachers and our staff that are identifying concerns and reporting them so they can be addressed. But we also recognize that we also have aging facilities, and we have to find a way. It is a responsibility of the board to really find a way of how we're going to address that. And so we've been really hard at work, as I've mentioned before, trying to find any way that we can maximize state funding. We had a lengthy process looking at our FMP, our facilities master plan, tried to even bring that down from $600 million to what's really needed. And I think we're still hovering around that $300-400 million mark. And so what do? We chip away, we do the projects that we can, we do the health and safety projects, but we also recognize there's a lot of projects on those lists that maybe don't fall into the immediate health and safety need, but yet they're really important to help our students be competitive in the future, like updated, modernized CTE programs. That has been a priority of this board. And so Trustee Price and I have been meeting regularly with a lot of the team and the staff, so thank you for that work. And there's a mailer that's going to be coming out, and we really wanted it, as an entire board, we really want to make sure we give every opportunity for community members to give us feedback as we're looking at different funding options for some of these larger facility needs. And so rather than just the standard email in, we want to make sure you are able to use every communication forum that we can find available. So they'll be, they're looking at a Google Doc, like I said, an email option. We also are looking forward to an in-person forum. We want to allow individuals, if you aren't familiar with QR codes yet or you don't like to utilize email, we want to make sure we make ourselves available to sit and listen and see you face to face. And so I know more information will be coming out on our platform, social media platforms, and in the mail, so look forward to that. Don't throw it away. This is really important. Community input needed. When you see a mailer that says community input needed, we really, really mean it. I don't think anyone's decided yet about what we need to do. We know. I don't think we're decided on yet how we're going to fund that, and so we really need to hear from our community options that they're interested in, maybe even a possible facilities measure. And so just save the date, May 28th. I do think that's really important to us that we provide an opportunity for community members to come, talk, and share outside of our normal board meetings. And then in addition to that, I just wanted to share CSBA, we've talked a few times. Upcoming this next month is the Delegate Assembly. That's California School Boards Association. This is where school board members throughout the state get together to talk about issues. They talk about opportunities, but it's also an opportunity to make sure that we fight for local control. That we don't rely on statewide mandates that might not benefit our community. We've said many times our community is very different than other communities in the state of California. We are not LA unified, and so it's important to our board that we have a voice at the state level. And so I was very pleased to be able to be reelected to serve as our CSBA delegate for here in Placer County. And I just open up to community members and my colleagues. We'll be doing that on May 16th. If you have any suggestions, ideas, thoughts, concerns, happy to include them in my talking points when I go to the state level for Delegate Assembly.
Nikki, thanks very much for the updates. It's always great to hear about all the exciting things, the events, the occurrences, all the fun stuff that's happening on our campus. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Myself and Trustee Sutherland were on the safety committee, so it was a great discussion on ways we're keeping and maintaining safety on our campuses. Had a little bit of conversation about vapes, and there's a presentation I'll speak about in a bit. I think we're going to have a summary going out to the community of all the things we talked about. Definitely looking for, if you're interested, have some time, want to be part of a committee, we're looking for that. And I think we have one more meeting, or next meeting will be, so next fall. Sorry, yeah, so next fall, 2026, we'll have the next meeting. So you got plenty of time to organize your calendar and attend. I want to say thank you to Rocklin Police Department, to Placer County Public Health, and the Placer Youth Commission. They had a really great presentation on vapes, tobacco, and all that stuff. Just good for the community. Sad that we have to do it, but it was great information, great knowledge, and good to see that we're providing that. Let's give some information. Hopefully, it doesn't, we can maintain it where it's at, and, but good that we were able to present that. And then I will say thank you to Georgia and all of our administrative professionals and all the networks that you guys all use to keep everything working. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for bringing up the safety committee meeting. I do want to say, yes, a great appreciation to Placer County Public Health and to Rocklin Unified to put that on. Sounds as though, the turnout was not, necessarily what we would want it to be, but it is a really important topic. Like, we know that on our school sites, especially at secondary, that we are seeing suspensions and discipline related to substance use with our students and possession on campus. And I feel like we actually have a very safety-oriented meeting today with what we have on the agenda. And in looking over the safety reports, we see that, from the elementary grades where we have no substance possession, offenses, then moving to secondary, then all of a sudden you see many or dozens at least. So it's really, I think, something that, we are trying to do our part. Hopefully parents can get that information. Placer.ca.gov does have several resources and informational links about vaping in particular. So for anyone who couldn't make it, I know it's an incredibly busy time of year, and there's just a lot going on. But please look at that. It's something that I was reaching out about after the meeting, just wondering, asking the question of when do students get that information about vaping and why it's bad and how it's harmful to you. And we had talked about freshman health, but just looking at getting some more information about, are there ways to start presenting some of that information so that maybe we can kind of catch them between that elementary and middle school ages to try to discourage the usage of those substances. Also, thank you to all of our administrative professionals. We also have Staff Appreciation Week coming up May 4th through May 8th. So if you're a parent in the district, get on Parent Square and see how your school site is needing help to make all of your school staff feel very appreciated and cared for here at the end of the school year when, things are just really, really getting busy. And then other than that, I'll leave it at that for now. And I think we have Trustee Price also remotely.
Ready for you, Trustee Price.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to share two things. The first of which is I've had a busy couple weeks meeting with a lot of community groups, and I just wanted to share with you as we think about how we move forward with facilities and possibly putting a measure on our November ballot. It's been great. I've met with the Rocklin Past Mayors Group and Whitney Oaks HOA and some other community members, and it's been great to get their community input, and we look forward to more input in May for sure. The second thing I wanted to share is I attended the Homeless and Foster Youth Advisory Committee meeting, and always so impressed with so many of our staff and teachers that really care so deeply about our students that have the most needs. And this was a meeting that, this is a committee that Hannah Anderson has been in charge of, and I just wanted to give her a little shout out because, as many of you know, she is going to be leaving to be superintendent, and we are so excited for her, but so sad for us. It really is a huge loss. I have worked with Hannah on many projects over the last 7 years, and not only is she articulate and professional, but she goes above and beyond and really cares for students in such a beautiful way. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out and tell her how much I've enjoyed working with her, how much I admire her personally and professionally, and I know on behalf of all of us, we wish her the best of luck. So that's it for me tonight.
All right, thank you very much. And I can definitely second everything that you said about Hannah. It has been wonderful working with her. We still get to hear from her tonight. So And a lot of things were said tonight, so I will just talk a little bit about Coast to Coast, which is a CSBA-hosted event in Washington, D.C., and our board just sends one member each year, and I got to go this year. It was an incredible event where we learned so much about federal funding, and I was able to talk to many congressional offices while I was there. I teamed up with some board members from across the state, and one of the things that we found we heard a lot when we talked to congressmen is it gets stopped in appropriations. It gets stopped in appropriations. So there are things they want to push forward but can't get funding. So we decided to team up and go talk to some congressmen that were on the appropriations committee. And so we were able to meet with someone from Ken Calvert's office, from David Valadeo's office, from Pete, I better put my glasses on. Aguilar's office, from Josh Harder's office, and then we also went to the education committee and we met with Burgess Owens, which was fun, Julia Letlow, and of course, our very own Kevin Kiley's office. And we were able to discuss some things that are really important to us personally in Rocklin. We talked about CTE funding and focus for the future. We talked about AI and online safety for our kids and legislation that can help with that, and the ever-popular IDEA funding. We really pushed back hard on everyone we talked to about IDEA funding. There is a huge shortfall in the amount of money that has been promised and that we receive. So we're always talking about that and always pushing our congressmen and senators to work on that. And we get a pretty positive response. It's just a matter of what comes out the other end. We also talked to Andy Ogle's office, and just on an aside, which was super amazing, here I am in Washington, D.C., in Kevin Kiley's offices, and out steps a very sweet young man and says, "Hi, Mrs. Hupp." And I was like, "What?" And I looked at his name tag, and I have only ever had one student with that name. My first grader is now a congressional staffer. I know. It was so cute. We took a picture together. He's so happy and so proud of what he has made of his life, and I am very proud of what he has made of his life. So a shout out to Huntley, who works in Kevin Kiley's office in Washington, D.C. And it just was a very successful trip. And I felt like we just really got a lot done. So I was excited to do it, and I thank you for allowing me to do that and to serve the board in that way. It was a very busy trip, and it was great. And now Superintendent Stock, do you have some comments you'd like to share?
I do. President Hupp, trustees, just a few additional items. One, since the last board meeting, we had the opportunity to go out across the district in one of our buses, thanks to our Director of Transportation, Matt Hebb, who actually drove for us, and go and surprise and honor Employees of the Year. And we have so many talented folks, and if you didn't see, we were great to have Liz Salazar from CSEA join us, Carrie Usteski, Vice President RTPA, and as we went out and really did that. And these are often once-in-a-career moments for folks, and you can see who they are, see their great pictures on the front of our website, but it's such a phenomenal time, and it just kind of one piece is our elementary school teacher of the year was a preschool teacher this year, and they happened to be at a training out at the County Office of Education. And so we had arranged with Dr. McDonald, who was there in the training, that we were going to pull up in the bus in front of that building where they were all training in the boardroom, and we knew they could see us. And he brought her out, and we had the bus and congratulated her, did all that. And what was great was, and this is sometimes we take for granted, is Bill shared that when she went back in, there were people from throughout the county there in this training, and they shared how special it was. They thought that we made the effort to go all the way out to there, find her, and celebrate her. And I think those are the types of things that really do make the culture here so great, and really appreciate Liz reminding us of Administrative Assistance Day. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Georgia, who has amazing skills. Probably the best is that she can decipher my writing. And so we're excited to have done that. We also are excited to I know the board, we're all joining out at Springview tomorrow for a formal ceremony to dedicate the gym at Springview Middle School in honor of Marge Crawford. The board voted this fall to authorize that, and we're very much looking forward to honoring her legacy of work, leadership, and with people past, present, and in our district. So that's at 4 o'clock tomorrow at Springview Gym if you are so inclined to join us. And then also throughout this, while we're acknowledging, I know that it's been mentioned, but we have with us Director Hannah Anderson, and this will be the last board meeting that she actually is referred to as such, and actually does not have to stay for the whole board meeting. And so I've had the opportunity to work with her the last 16 years. First hired her as a vice principal in another district, and have had the chance to hire her 5 times in her career, and she is done just amazing things here, as many of you have said, and I am looking forward to having her as a superintendent colleague in the county. So I still get to retain her as a colleague and as a peer, and looking forward to the leadership she'll provide to a neighboring Eureka Elementary District. And so that is all I have to share this evening.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Stock. We will now move to item 8.1, the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar to be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion followed by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the Board of Trustees requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Any item removed will be voted upon following the motion to approve the consent calendar. Does any trustee wish to remove an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. First by Trustee Sutherland, second by Trustee Counter. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Nikki Telez,
Yes.
Rochelle Price,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Now, item 9.1. Welcome Hannah Anderson, Director of Innovation, School Programs and Accountability, and future Superintendent, to present item 9.1, action on comprehensive school safety plans for the 2026-2027 school year.
Good evening, and thank you. Good evening, President Hupp, trustees, Superintendent Stock. Each year, the School Site Council is required to approve the comprehensive school safety plans. In accordance with Education Code 32286, each school must review an updated safety plan annually with approval from the School Site Council. Comprehensive school safety plans have been updated and approved by each School Site Council for the 26-27 school year, district-wide. I'm available to answer any questions you may have, and after that, staff recommend trustees take action on the comprehensive safety plans for the 2026-27 school year.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any board comments or questions?
So I know, being here a while, I know what we started with. I know we had a lot of variation, and I super appreciate the consistency, the taking it from what it was to what it is. I think it's great. I think it's a great example of continuous improvement. There's always more things to do, and I'm not, on the way out, but just I know that it is set up. We have a good process. We have a good system for future hands. Just hopefully like to see us, continually keep tweaking and adjusting, because from where it was to what it is, thank you. It's amazing. Just we want to keep going in that direction.
Thank you, and I will leave notes.
Yes, I agree. I think the format and just the, ease of kind of going through the different sections is helpful when you're reviewing so many of these. I really do like the insight that these safety plans give to each campus and just their unique kind of areas of focus and just kind of what they have going on their campuses. Appreciate the staff and the parents and the partnership with Rocklin PD taking the time to really look at, not just facilities and protocols for safety, but also looking at, I really love to see the efforts in making students have more opportunities to be connected to their schools and their campuses, because we know that that really helps with these outcomes, of course, in addition to things like PBIS as well. Just one thing I did note, just to make sure everything is as it should be, the Granite Oaks Middle School attachment didn't have all of the board policies attached at the end of the document. I don't know if that's a requirement or not, but all the other ones had it.
We will make sure that all of those are consistent across all the policies, so that should not affect anything this evening, but we will make sure
They'll get the additional 75 odd pages that attach to everything.
Sorry about that.
No
Crazy.
We'll make sure that that gets attached, and good catch.
And, this I really think is an important opportunity to highlight the great work of school site councils, and just a reminder why those are important roles for parents to fill at each of our schools as they're working on these plans. And we as a board really rely on these plans, reading through them and really seeing, okay, where are we at on some of these issues? And, for maybe any parents listening in that haven't read maybe their school site safety plan, I encourage them to, right? Not only do they talk about procedures for like child abuse reporting, disaster prevention procedures, injury and illness prevention plans, but then also goes into opioid prevention. What are we doing to really keep our kids and our staff safe on our campuses? And so, again, just to highlight School Site Council, great opportunity for parents to get involved each fall. But thank you to the work of those throughout the entire district to work on these plans for each site.
Great, thank you. Trustee Price, do you have any comments? Okay. Hannah, thank you so much. I mean, we've been here going through these for several years now, and I think all of us have been here for multiple years now, and we've seen the progression and how these have come together. They were always good, but they're so much easier to go through now. They were never difficult, but they're so much easier now in their uniformity. It really is almost pleasant to read them. So thank you so much for all the work that goes into them. We know it's a lot, and it's a lot of people to wrangle. So thank you. It was great work. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the comprehensive school safety plans for the 26-27 school year?
So moved.
Okay, first by Trustee Sutherland.
Second.
Okay, second by Trustee Sadoff. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Nikki Telez,
Yes.
Rochelle Price,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp.
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. Okay, so 9.2, Hannah, please continue with action on board policy and administrative regulation revised BPAR 0450 comprehensive safety plan.
Hello again. California Education Code, as we just covered, requires every school site to maintain a comprehensive school safety plan that addresses emergency preparedness, campus safety procedures, and coordination with law enforcement and emergency responders. School districts are also required to adopt related board policies and administrative regulations that guide the development, review, and implementation of these plans. District staff reviewed Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 0450, Comprehensive Safety Plan, and made updates to ensure alignment with current legal requirements. The revisions clarify procedures related to the development, annual review, and coordination of school site safety plans with local law enforcement and emergency responders. This plan was brought as an information item on March 18th, and I'm now able to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, trustees, are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I guess I just want to make sure on the AR, there's a lot of the strike through, and just to make sure that these, when I'm comparing it, the number, there's a 6 crisis prevention and intervention strategies, which may include the following, and it includes like development of an evacuation plan, coordination of communication to schools, development of a method for the reporting of violent incident. So are those all follow-up? Is there just new language that, I'm trying to make sure that those are all covered?
So all of the language that is struck through at the end of this policy is not required to be in the comprehensive safety plan based on ed code in the area of the plan that it was, in the area of this administrative regulation where it is currently. There have been some things that were moved from the bottom may section to the top shall section. There are, shared with trustees was a memo going over which some options for may language that we could look at making sure to include. There are a number of items that are may language. That means that they are optional to include in the comprehensive safety plan. They're not optional for schools and school districts to have. For example, one of the new potentials for may language is related to suicide prevention, intervention, response. You're going to see that come in other board policies tonight, and as a district, we are required to have plans in those areas. They just don't have to be a part explicitly of this plan.
Perfect.
So trustees do have an option to include any of those, that may language, but for now, we have included for trustee review all of the shall language in the updated administrative regulation.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that, and I'm happy that we are approving the most updated language. It was something that I had shared at the safety committee meeting, knowing that we had kind of a rash of threats made to campuses around this area, and everything that I heard from parents and staff at Rocklin High, everyone felt that the protocols went very smoothly. People felt that it was not traumatic and very effective, and Rocklin PD coming in. So, I'm just happy that it seems like we are constantly making positive changes to ensure safety on our campuses.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Board Policy and Administrative Regulation Revised BPAR 0450 Comprehensive Safety Plan?
So moved.
Okay, first by Trustee Counter.
Second.
Second by Trustee Sutherland. Sadoff, sorry. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Nikki Telez,
Yes.
Rochelle Price,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. We now will give Hannah a break and invite Beth Davidson, Director, Academic Improvement and MTSS, with action on Board Policy New BP 5141.5, Mental Health.
Good evening, President Hupp, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Stock. I am here this evening regarding Board Policy 5141 on mental health. On March 18th, the board was presented with a draft of this board policy as required by California Education Code 49428.2 as an information item. At that meeting, trustees asked several questions which staff addressed in a subsequent board communication. This evening, Board Policy 5141.5 is being brought back for board consideration as an action item.
Okay, trustees, are there any questions or comments?
I first just want to say thank you for the follow-up from the last board meeting. I know I had several questions, and I really appreciated the time that you and staff took to really answer those. A lot of my questions were centered around statements in specifically, I believe it's the BP, but specifically about the list of referrals or the list of community mental health organizations that might be recommended to students or families. And so I really appreciated the clarification on that, that really comes from PCOE and the sharing of that document so we could see that. Additionally, there were some questions about how parents are notified. And so I really appreciate that clarification that they are and that it's listed in this policy. But I had just a couple more follow-ups just to get some clarity. So on item number 6, I believe it's, number 5, it says address the inclusion of parents, guardians in the referral process. And this is speaking to the mental health counseling and referrals. And so I really appreciated the context and more information we were given, but I'd love to know a little bit more of the how. How do we actually notify the parents so they can be on the lookout for that and understand what to be looking for if a referral is being made?
Absolutely. So at the elementary level, the school counselor will typically make a phone call or some kind of communication with the parent directly so that they can engage in a dialogue about what the continuum of services look like, what the options are so that the parent can consider, and some background information about why the referral was made. And then at that time, they would send home a consent form that has to be returned by the parent before any services can begin.
Perfect. Okay.
At the secondary level, very similar, so it would include contact from either the school counselor and or the Wellness Together mental health specialist with the same process. So they'd be reviewing what the services look like, how many sessions they would provide, how long the sessions are. There are often questions about, is the student missing class time, and how can we accommodate, them not missing math, or so the school will work with them to accommodate those requests as best they can. And same process, a consent form is sent home that has to be returned by the parent or guardian.
Okay, that's what I was looking for, the consent form. And could you help a little bit? It mentions, and I understand why in the policy we maybe aren't mentioning the exact groups that we have on our campuses, because that might change over time, that we're more referencing on-campus services. But currently, right now, could you clarify for the public who handles our on-campus services? I know I was able to ask that question kind of after hours, but I think it's good for people to hear about the third-party vendor we have that we're contracted with.
Sure. So at the elementary level, our school counselors are our service providers for school-based counseling. At the secondary level, so grades 7 through 12, we are contracting with a nonprofit organization called Wellness Together. They are incredibly well-known across the state and now nation and internationally as well. So they provide mental health specialists at each of our secondary sites.
Great. Okay. And for that, just to confirm, there would be a consent form that the parent would give consent to. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a form every single time there's a conversation, but it's more of a consent form if there's a referral made or a student wants or needs to access services with Wellness Together. But important for the parent to know when they give consent, is that for the school year?
They would typically talk about, it's typically a 10-session duration of time, and then if a span of time went by where the student wasn't receiving services, and then there was a referral, or either the parent had an interest in continuing services again, we would send home a new consent form.
Perfect. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, and if it's okay, I have one more. There was a section that talked about behavioral training curriculum. And I know we've talked before about some state requirements that are requiring us to do a variety of trainings. Could you give a little bit of clarification what specifically we're looking at with this behavioral training curriculum and how we plan to implement it and when?
Sure. So staff will spend the upcoming school year, so 2026-27, developing that staff training in collaboration with Wellness Together and their resources, as well as Placer County Office of Education. And throughout that process, we will be providing updates to the board about what the training includes. But the Ed Code asks that the training include behavioral health disorders, common psychiatric conditions, substance use disorders, students with exceptional needs, mental health conditions, and it targets specific student groups who may be at higher risk.
Okay, and I understand that's as a result of legislation, and that we have until 2029 to implement it. I appreciate the staff really working to make sure it's something that meets the need of the state, but is really consistent with Rocklin Unified and what we feel will be best for our community and our students. So I appreciate the time you guys are taking. And I know you mentioned regular updates to the board. I do think it would be really beneficial and important before that is rolled out to staff that we're able to preview it or look at it or be aware of what we're covering in that curriculum.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments or questions?
Just, it's probably just, I call it vocab. The term, I just want to verify if they're interchangeable. They have staff, or let's see, staff of students with behavioral health concerns, and then later it has behavioral health disorder. Disorder and concern are just an interchangeable word?
I mean, they could be. I think a disorder would be something that has been identified, whereas a concern might come from any staff member or a parent or family member that we're interested in looking into so we can provide appropriate supports.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the new BP 5141.5 mental health?
So moved.
First by Trustee Sutherland,
Second.
second by Trustee Counter. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Nikki Telez,
Yes.
Rochelle Price,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. And we will now move on to item 10.1. And I feel inclined to point out that this is Hannah's last presentation to this board. And Hannah, afterwards, we would like to take a picture with you.
Wonderful. I would like to take a picture with you too.
All right.
That sounds
So
great.
Hannah Anderson, Director of Innovation, School Programs, and Accountability for the last time, will you please update us on the Local Control and Accountability Plan?
It is my pleasure. I am here tonight to share with you the Local Control and Accountability Plan for the planning for the 2026-27 school year. So this is combining a few presentations you've had historically that share with you educational partner input and also provide for you information that it will be in the draft LCAP brought back to you at the public hearing at the end of May. So tonight we'll go over proposed goals, metrics, actions and services, and expenditures before discussing next steps. There are no changes to proposed goals 1 and 2, so those will remain the same. The third goal has one new area, which trustees heard about at a meeting in February, a board study session in February, looking at college and career readiness. So you can see that embedded within the language of Goal 3 to be for the area for continuous improvement in the 26-27 school year, with the intention of embedding it as a priority area in the 27 to 2030 LCAP. Throughout the process, we have engaged educational partners and honestly value their input through this process and hear from them and do our best to share back with them where their partner is utilized, where their input has been utilized throughout this process. So you can see here the list of partners that we work with every year in development of the LCAP. Many of these are because they're required in statute. Many of these are because in Rocklin Unified, we truly believe that hearing from our partners in education is important to be prepared to write a plan that includes our goals, services, and actions for the district. All right, I'm going to take a breath. Okay, so you'll see this slide in here 2 times, and you've seen these before. We're going to focus on the right-hand side of this slide. The left-hand side talks about some of the data and metrics that you've seen and we've talked about at other presentations this year. And it also shares the input from our prior three years. So the right-hand side focuses you on what we've heard specifically in this goal area this year. So specifically this year in the area of math improvement, staff have continued to advocate for high-quality professional development, specifically requesting integrated ELD, English language development, into how do they support English language learners in their classrooms specifically related to mathematics, And then the continued and sustained support for successful instructional models. So even though this goal is moving into a sustainment area and just won't be the key focus area ongoing, staff have called out the importance of continuing to receive doses of professional development in the areas that they've started throughout this goal for the last 5 years. Parents and staff report the need to close gaps early in students' educational outcomes, so that's been a really important piece, especially at the secondary table. When there are parents who share with us about their students struggling in math, they identify that when we wait for middle school and high school to intervene, it's too late, and we need to be working with our elementary students to do that. Students report the need for ongoing access to staff, tutors, and digital resources. So we know that a one-size-fits-all model does not work for every student. So they call out, we need a variety of options to support us in our mathematics. And then both staff, students, and parents report the need for sustained access to intervention services and everyday math classes ongoing. So highlighted services for the 26-27 school year. In addition to everything that has been implemented, we will sustain everyday math courses, program specialists to facilitate continuous improvement, tutoring, and supplemental math programs. Metrics will remain unchanged, and those are shared in attachment A, as well as will be upcoming in future presentations. Moving into goal 2, our educational partners report the need to sustain and expand social, emotional, mental health, and behavioral personnel and resources. So not just additional training for staff, but the ongoing need to make sure that we're sustaining the personnel. And often what comes up as a highlight in this area is the elementary counseling program that has been new to the district in the last 6 years. And so the staff especially call that out every year as something really important to keep, and the value add that has been there for the elementary counseling program since its addition to the school district. Parents continue to report the need for clear communication regarding access to services. I'll talk a little bit more about that one on the next slide. Staff report the need for ongoing training and increased behavioral personnel to support students with high behavioral needs. So not just that a classroom teacher needs additional training, but they need additional hands-on supports on campuses to make sure that there are additional people to support students when they are having behavioral emergencies. And elementary staff also report the need to be involved when a behavior intervention plan is being written about a student in their class. So if a teacher is being asked to implement a behavior plan, they're asking to be part of the planning process so they can better implement the plan in the classroom. And that makes sense. And then the last one here is that both staff and students report the need for improving student conduct in the restroom and continuing to address derogatory language. We've heard that. That's specifically related to high schools, related to the bathroom piece. That has been an ongoing piece that safety has also been working to address. It is related to vaping. All right, moving into highlighted changes for next year. Continuing to implement classroom-based intervention programs to strengthen classroom PBIS and support teachers. There was an intervention that was piloted this year that will continue into next year and expand to all 12 schools. That is a behavior support assistant who can walk alongside teachers when they have a class that needs some additional support and additional classroom management resources. So it was a model that was developed in a neighboring district with high effect sizes and was piloted in Rocklin Unified this past year and is showing some good initial implementation results. And so we're looking to implement that for a full second year and then bring back further data to support whether we need to grow that intervention because it's successful or whether that's something that should continue in Rocklin for future years. Again, I'm looking to increase professional development in early education, specifically for our students in our TKK that have larger behavioral needs. And then the last is also was spoken about earlier, was increasing the number of substance use prevention and abuse resources and interventions on our secondary campuses. So specifically focusing on vaping right now, but this is as Trustee Sutherland pointed out, one of the main areas for the need for suspension on our secondary campuses, and something that our LCAP teams have been looking at for many years. Our Goal 2 metrics, we're looking to remain unchanged for next year. In Goal 3, we know that Goal 3 includes everything that makes Rocklin Unified great. All of the different programs, everything from facilities to our special education programs to our career technical education programs and attendance improvement. It also includes a couple of areas that we're looking to continuously improve. And so one of those, there's the addition, is adding the work group next year to explore college and career readiness in preparation for a new 3-year LCAP. And then as that work group wraps up, moving right into those Plan, Do, Study, Act cycles related to college and career readiness. So not waiting until we write the whole new LCAP, but making sure that those cycles start right away. Also inside of Goal 3 is the services for our English learner students. So, and as we know, our local control and accountability plan needs to focus on our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, our English learners, and our foster youth. We have an obligation within the LCAP to make sure that we're increasing and improving services for these youth. And trustees have been highly invested in making sure that these dollars go to support the youth that generate these funds. Oops. And so this slide shows the increased and improved services for English learner students. Right now, this is 586 youth currently enrolled in the district with an investment next year of just over $1.5 million. We are planning to sustain all of the current implemented actions. We won't be adding any staff to our ELD, our amazing ELD team, but we are always looking at where are the students, what are the students' levels, and do our supports need to move potentially from one school to another school because maybe students are moving from the middle school to the high school. So do we maybe need to move some of the staff to support them? This next slide are the increased and improved services for our foster youth and students experiencing homelessness. So also not looking to add services here, but just continue to lean into the services that are in place in the district and the strong partnership with Placer County Office of Education to help us serve the unique needs of these youth, which the cumulative enrollment for these youth this year is 164 students. This number looks lower, and I just want to highlight this is about the amount of investment that we have invested annually, and that is because the salary for the person that serves as a homeless and foster youth liaison is elsewhere in the LCAP, and so it is not wrapped into this action. And that is why the funding looks lower for this action, because they do a variety of different services and supports. It's included in 3.23, Action 3.23, and not here because it's not tied specifically in the LCAP at this time. That could be something that changes in the future.
Can I ask a question about that, or would you like us to
Please,
save
no,
questions for
please.
the end?
You can ask away.
Because I appreciate you highlighting that. I find myself sometimes, though, looking at the dashboard and some of the indicators. I appreciated the attachment that breaks it down, and it does often seem our homeless youth population is still really struggling in a lot of these areas, understandably. Do we have an assessment or a process that at some point we might need to really narrow focus some of these services just to those students to really help make sure they're getting access? I guess really what my question is do our homeless youth and foster youth have 100% access for all students that need these services? Or are they given at least priority for these services? If we have staff that are providing a multitude of services for our district, I worry that maybe those that really need these supports and interventions might not have the access to them that are needed if we don't prioritize that staffing just for that.
I appreciate you asking that. So there are a few actions in the LCAP that are specifically for students experiencing homelessness, and then if we have extra of those items, we will make sure that other students in need receive them. For example, the third bullet point here, access to hotspots. Our hotspot program is primarily for our students experiencing homelessness. we don't pass out hotspots to anyone else in need until we've made sure that internet access is handled for our students experiencing homelessness. Another example would be the priority access to interventions. So what that looks like is, I'll give an example, and one of our program specialists, Amanda Bannister, is actually here tonight for the next presentation, but she supports our counselors with this annually. And so a few years ago, we put in a change where we wanted to make sure that priority access was really happening. And so each school was already looking at a list of qualifying factors for our everyday math program, one of our interventions at our high schools. And so the change that happened was, in addition to looking at the variety of factors, they're also looking at demographic factors, with students experiencing homelessness being one of those demographic factors. So if a student experiencing homelessness needs that intervention, they are placed in that intervention program. That's part, and then that's what that priority access means. So we really could change this slide to say ensure access, because it is a priority of our counseling teams to make sure they are placing those students first. Those are the students that are generating the funds that pay for these intervention services, and we want to make sure they get access to them.
Great, I appreciate that. That's exactly what I was getting at. And I think it's important that we look at all interventions for them as well. You know, I'm thinking even tutoring. A lot of these youth, they may not have the advocacy to get some of the services that they need. And so, of course, I want to make sure all of our students have access to all of our services. But I really want to make sure, especially in this case, that our homeless and our foster youth have access to some of the services that they may not have somebody advocating for them for. And I'm thinking tutoring, some of those pieces that sometimes parents are able to take care of during the summer outside of the school district. These population groups may not have that option, and I think it's our responsibility to make sure they have access to that.
Yes, agreed.
I also had noticed, you know, with the homeless youth, there is a lot of really excellent data showing improvement on the attachment, but that is one population in particular that seems to be struggling. And yet many interventions, you know, that have been put in place to help. Is there any, you know, kind of with the data, knowing that homelessness can be, you know, an ideally a temporary circumstance for families, do we think that that category of students may change more as far as the actual students that are in that group versus some of the other populations, to where maybe the same students are not kind of getting consecutive years of those interventions where some of these other groups do, and so we see more improvement?
For example, you know, if you are of a particular ethnicity, your data is always showing up in that.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
percentage, versus a student who is experiencing homelessness will be in that percentage at the time they are experiencing homelessness, but they will not be in that percentage if they are no longer experiencing homelessness. Am I capturing what you're saying correctly? Okay.
That poses a challenge for us to then evaluate how effective our interventions are, right?
So, yes, I hear what you're saying. I think that we want to make sure that we are looking at the success of youth even after their circumstances change, right? And then would make sure that if they still have an academic indicator indicating that they need supports, that those same services are available. And I was thinking about this also while Trustee Sadoff was sharing about tutoring. Initially in the LCAP, that tutoring action was a very specific action for homeless and foster youth. However, over time, we also want to make sure that it is there for homeless and foster youth, but there are many other students who can benefit from being in a tutoring group too, or we have the resources to offer other tutoring groups. So, or if students are no longer experiencing homelessness but still have an academic need, or no longer a foster youth but still have an academic need, that they would have access. So our one thing that is happening, specifically related to the tutoring piece, which doesn't target everything you're asking about, but our coordinator of expanded learning, Carrie Awe, when we have a teacher that's asking to tutor a group of students, or a group of teachers asking to tutor a group of students, they're submitting a tutoring interest form, and they're providing the names of the students and what academic indicator they're looking at, and if the teacher knows of what demographic indicator. And then she's actually looking up not only the students that are submitted on that form, but who are the other students in that teacher's class that have a particular demographic indicator? Could any of them be pulled into that tutoring group, and maybe they weren't identified on the initial interest form as needing it, but they could just benefit from that extra service in that group? And so that's something that has been a shift this year, that she's been very intentional about looking at the students in those tutoring groups and making sure that we're fully supporting as many students as we can with those demographic indicators, as well as the after-school tutoring that's happening within our expanded learning program. She's looking at demographic indicators first, pulling those students into the group to just provide those extra dosages of academic learning after school, and then putting the academic need paired with that.
That's excellent. Great information. Thank you.
So these next two slides go into the funding. This is only the supplemental funding that is included in these actions. So for example, within Goal 1, math, we have amazing math teachers throughout the district. Those math teachers that are paid for with the LCFF base funds are not included in this presentation tonight. When you see the draft at the public hearing, you will see action 3.1 that has all of our teachers that serve our base program across the district. This is, what are those extra supplemental services to increase and improve services for students? That is what is included here in this presentation tonight. So just to highlight a couple of areas, you can see that elementary counseling program under Goal 2, and the investment trustees are making into that ongoing program, a hefty investment with great services happening for our students. You can see all of the Tier 1, 2, and 3 social, emotional, behavioral supports and the investment being made there. And then the school-based mental health services, that's the contract that was discussed in the previous presentation. Going into this next slide, for Goal 3, you can see the investment for English learners that was discussed, just over $1.5 million. The site interventions is including a couple of areas, that is including a site fund that goes out to each principal to be able to look at their intervention models and making sure that they're making decisions about intervention aid staffing that is needed to support the interventions happening at their campuses. And then the very last, second to last one there, you see transportation for target students. So making sure that we're continuing to ensure that transportation is not a barrier for students to be at school. So all of our students who receive or qualify for free or reduced price meals, that is the fee to make sure that we cover those costs.
I had a question on that
Sure.
one. So if a lot of our tutoring is primarily in that after-school program, or a large portion of that, it sounds like, are these transportation services provided for transportation after the after-school program?
Great question. So the transportation service, the tutoring that is happening in our expanded learning program is for students participating in the expanded learning program. And that program, at the end of the day, transportation is not provided at the very tail end of the day to that. But what we did do this year that was different from previous years is we extended expanded learning beyond the 9 hours that the state tells us we have to offer it. We offer it until 6 p.m. at all of our sites. So we wanted to make sure that working families, it was not a barrier, just like any other family that's able to be part of the fee-based childcare that happens after school that ends at 6 and you can pick up after a workday. Our expanded learning program now ends at that time as well. So students participating in tutoring after school don't have access to those transportation services, but they do have access to that extended day through ELOP. And that's true for any student participating in ELOP. We don't have the ability to provide home transportation after that at the end of the day.
And I appreciate that creative thinking. That's a great solution, right? And might really solve the problem for a lot of those families who maybe wouldn't be able to have earlier transportation if they have caregivers that are working during the day. I'd love, not right at the moment, but I'd love to see us, just because I'm continuing to see as we break apart those indicators, this homeless youth, foster youth population. I know it's a smaller population, so it's also a lot easier for the indicator to look more damaging. But I would love to see us dig a little bit deeper in there and make sure those kids that are representing that indicator, are they actually participating in this after-school program? And if they're not, are they actually receiving tutoring services? And I say this as a mom who was able to provide for my daughter, a Rocklin student, had a phenomenal education, but because of her experience in foster care and a few other things that she shares about before she came to our family, she needed some of that intervention and tutoring support. That was a hefty bill for us to pay. We wanted to do it to help her. I want to make sure every student has that opportunity. So again, just to be clear, I know we have gotten creative to try to find a solution, but I really want to know the students that are giving us that indicator. We should be able to dig into that data to see, are those same students accessing our tutoring services? And if not, are there other intervention services they are getting that we feel are helping them grow? I just want to see some growth.
We definitely can provide that, and thanks to the investment of trustees in our data system, it is robust enough to make sure that we can identify those youth, see what they're participating in. We also have changed a bit of the way that we request even for students to come to the summer program. So it's more than just a you're invited, it's a we want you here, right? And in the summer program, we do have the transportation that goes back and forth at the beginning and the end of the day. And then just a slight correction on what I said earlier, the students doing ELOP after school tutoring don't receive transportation at the end of ELOP. But if there was ever a youth who receives maybe some of our private transportation, we do make sure that they have access to participate in after-school programs or other things that are happening, and then we set up the private transportation to be after that event. So, for example, we had a foster youth who wanted to participate in a dance program, an extracurricular that had never been available to this youth, and she was able to participate. We were able to get her the materials to participate in the program, and then also the transportation after and to other events. So absolutely agree that we don't want transportation to be a barrier, and wherever it cannot be, we are trying to meet that need.
And that's also part of that unique piece is because of our thankfully, the small numbers of students in that population, that often some of these transportations are arranged individually versus a bus route where the school, because it's a more economical, and often it needs to be tailored to their activity and their time. Versus we had you're on the bus 3 hours because we have the foster homeless youth bus that drives around the district and takes 3 hours. That's not helpful to kids, and so that's where, because of the smaller numbers and really mostly I don't want to say concierge service, but really individualized, we can kind of tailor as needed and also make the investment for, okay, you're doing this dance piece, it's X long. Great, we're there. You may not be doing something the next month. So we can target the resources and have that flexibility as well.
Okay. Just before I move on to the next slide, just also want to call out that the college, you'll see the last one on here, the college and career work group is included in that. So the funding has gone up for that as a one-time piece to make sure that there's funding for that improvement group. Okay. Next steps in LCAP development: continue to implement current actions and monitor outcome data, continue working with our educational partners. We had our last staff group yesterday. We've got our last parent guardian advisory group tomorrow night. finalize our supplemental expenditures, hold the public hearing, and Director Davidson will be here to hold that with you on May 27th, and then bring for final, for action on June 10th. And with that, I am available to answer any other questions.
Okay, so trustees, do you have any comments or questions
So
still to be answered?
appendix?
Yes.
Just have this
Let's
is,
talk
this-
about it.
I know, let's go down, this is math fun. 1-1 and 1-2, or 3-1 and 3-2, they either go through math or ELA metrics, they have goals on them. And this is about how the sausage is made, so I'll ask randomly. If you're improving on a metric that where CASP is associated versus not approving, or if the metrics, if they're going in two different directions but using two different data sources, what trumps what?
You weren't going to let me get out of here without asking one of these questions. It's like a trick. No, it's good. I appreciate it. I think that each one you're looking in isolation, right? So when you're looking at CASP data, you're comparing that to prior year CASP data, because that is a dipstick, a 1 point in time, students take it one time a year, right? And that measures achievement. And we're looking for a change in achievement over time. When you're looking at 1.3, for example.
1.2 is MAP, 1.3 is another CASP, but yeah, I was just comparing CASP and MAP, because you're looking, it's.
Oh, to map, yeah.
Yeah.
So 1.3, you're looking at growth, right? And so that one is its own, you're gonna compare annually, right? How are students doing at meeting their growth targets? So what you can do is say, instead of measuring, we want to stop looking at 6 things, we want to start looking at 1 thing, and that is okay. We can choose to do that. Internally in education services, we are going to make sure that we're looking at both achievement and growth measures, because it's important that we're not only measuring our students achieving at high levels, but are they growing, and are they growing at such a rate that they're going to start moving up in achievement. But within the LCAP and as a board, you can choose to narrow the number of specific metrics included in the LCAP. And I think that would be a great, robust conversation for the college and career group to have in the fall, of how are we going to truly measure this goal where we are not looking at 30 metrics, because then you can't point and say, this is the metric that's showing that we're making progress or not. How's that, Trustee Counter?
It's good. I appreciate the feedback.
Okay.
That's good. It's one of those things. I guess, and it creates great conversation. If I'm good in one and not good in the other, or vice versa, what is it we're truly doing? And I think the nice part about this process is it might work this year. Maybe we have to change it for next year because that's a different growth or a different plan or a different achievement goal or whatever. So.
Yeah, and I think it's also something you're trying to look for trends, right? And so on all the measures that we're tracking, are we growing in 4 of the 6 measures? The ones that we're not growing in, is that a 1-year blip, or are we starting to see a trend over multiple years, and now it's something we want to address? So it does, I think you're absolutely right. It generates great, robust conversations in our department, with Beth and the MTSS team, with program specialists as they're talking with teachers as they're talking to each other. You know, this is all information, right? And the information drives great conversation, and that drives change. So
Agree. Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, so you hit on my last one. So if it's okay, I'll finish up mine, because mine was really about that college career work group as well. And when we last talked about that indicator, there were so many different metrics involved in the indicator from the state that it kind of led me to kind of wonder, which ones are we using? And maybe that's the point of the work group, to kind of identify that. But I wanted to throw out there, as those conversations are happening, I would love to see, when we're talking college and career readiness, that the career piece, I'm assuming there's going to be a CTE component to it, that we're not just looking at pathways for high-performing students, but that we have some phenomenal pathways, and those are important. We should continue those. I don't want to lose those. But I do think when we're looking at this, we're looking at college and career readiness for every single student, and that might look different for some students. And so I'm really hoping, as we put a little more priority on that piece, that we're able to really look at what about our students that maybe are not consistently what, according to the dashboard, would be high performing, but these students are growing. The MAP test, showing us that, but that we're giving them opportunities to maybe gain some skills that's going to help them be very successful when they graduate from us. So just want to share that. I know it's a work group, so they're in the infancy stages, but I'd love to see that be addressed or at least discussed in that work group. So when it comes back to us, we're able to have some really good, deep conversation about that.
Absolutely. And trustees, just as we look at this, as we design this, kind of studying the system of, and then looking at, what are those areas of data, areas of focus? How does it not just be when they leave us, how do we have them prepared for the multiple of students and paths they need to take, whether it be college or right to career or to other types of service? We also are then going to be really looking holistically at the system to say, what builds that? So we're also going to go deep back in, because it doesn't just happen like in high school, but what's those readiness pieces that help students to be ready to do those things. And so we are very excited, and we're going to be getting together a design team in May to start looking at how do we want to have this process go. How do we be inclusive? How do we bring in a lot of perspectives from whether it be post-secondary, the business community, others, parents, to get a wide perspective as we're starting to understand the system. And that's the exciting work we have in the fall. And we'll be updating the board regularly on what we're finding out, where we're at, and so that when we come back, we can take a hard look at, okay, where do we want to go over the next 5 years, and working on this. We see simultaneous work going on in this system, but how do we bring it all together and have some focus? And so hearing things like that of like, hey, we want to make sure that we address outcomes for all students when they leave us with a diploma, so they're ready to be productive in wherever they choose, not just one type of opportunity. And so that's something that we've heard loud and clear from trustees saying, we want to really make sure that there's something for every student when they leave us, not just a particular type of student.
Great, I appreciate that. When do we know? I know on the LCAP there's the metrics, like a lot of them will say, part of this goal is we want to see a 1% growth on this indicator. When does that process happen for the next 3-year LCAP goal?
Good.
Okay. So as part of the work group that'll happen in the fall, they'll be landing on first the what, right? What is going to be in that goal? What are the actions that we're looking at? And then how are we going to measure that? And so that will be part of that conversation. And as Superintendent Stock shared, we'll be updating trustees throughout that process. I would imagine there will be some opportunity within there for a public update where you can give input on the metrics before they're set in the LCAP in the spring.
And it's similar to the math where we looked through our system, understood what were the drivers that causing the gaps that we wanted to address, worked with folks to really think about interventions, and then really work with folks in the system to say what are really meaningful measures, which really helped us drive towards that. And so we see a similar process of defining that, and then dialogue with the board. And that's how we developed the math ones, where we kind of came back to the board and said, we're thinking these might be ways. What do you think? Is that giving you what you want? Is there another piece you want us to consider? So we really see this next year as we develop the college career focus, then which will be placed within the LCAP, is a back and forth process of update, feedback throughout that year as we do that.
Yeah, I think with that same point, because I know 3.5 showing growth by increasing the status on the college and career indicator by 1% each year has already exceeded the goal. So hopefully, as the group is meeting, that is helping to either inform maybe areas that are already working and don't need to be addressed, or even to see, if that helps to inform the approach that may be effective in other metrics under that same category. I think it's very encouraging to see that kind of right out of the gate. And then for number 2, goal 2, just really wanting to show appreciation for the district efforts to be dynamic and kind of come in and address these behavior needs that kind of cropped up in a short-term kind of situation, but we're seeing that that's probably going to be an ongoing need. We heard from community members and teachers, and we're made aware of that. And so I'm just very happy to see that that was able to be incorporated. I noticed on at least one of the safety plans, they noted the behavior response team as something that they will be utilizing to help reach their goals. So just feeling positive about that area. And other than that, I've just really enjoyed coming to the LCAP meetings, hearing your presentations, seeing how you work with the parent and staff groups. And thank you so much for everything you've done.
All right, before you sit down, we all just want to say together, thank you so much that all that you've done for us. And I know, I think I can speak for everyone when I say from this side of the dais, what we see in you is a leadership style of patience, kindness, boldness, and strength with a forward-looking mindset that is always keeping us moving forward, keeping our district and our kids moving forward, keeping our learning growing, keeping our district growing. And I know that your new district is going to find that they have discovered a diamond, and not in the rough. You are a true diamond, ready to go and take on this new job with such clarity and beauty. And we are sad to lose you, but we are very happy for those who are gaining you, and we're happy for your future and all that you get to do moving forward. Thank you for all that you've done for us, Hannah.
Thank you very much. It has been truly my pleasure to work in this district for the last 13 years. I have loved calling Rocklin Unified home and working with all of you, so thank you very much. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, Hannah, if I could say, when I first got the call from one of the neighboring, another school board member, and said, I need to apologize, I hope you won't be too mad, I laughed and said, I fully expect the staff at Rocklin Unified to try to get picked up by other districts because we have the best of the best here at Rocklin, and you are the best of the best at what you do. And so, although sad, so incredibly happy for you personally. I think when somebody has served a district well, it's important that we bless them and honor them and thank them for the great work they've done. As a parent here in the district with multiple kids that I've fostered and adopted, I know we've sat down multiple times and have talked about some of those issues and those nuances. And I really appreciate your care and attention. And I just have to share, trustees, just the other day I was in a coffee with a community member, and randomly in that coffee, the person said, who is amazing at Rocklin Unified? And I said, well, I know many people. And I was like sitting on the edge of my seat wondering what person they were going to say. And the person said, Hannah Anderson, if you ever lose her. And I was like, wow. But I share that with you to say that's actually somebody that's not even currently connected in our district, but has had the opportunity to speak with you in the past. And it really just stuck in that person's mind how much you made them really feel like you truly cared about each individual student, not just the numbers we see on a page tonight. So I want to make sure you hear that. I thought that was actually very timely. And again, it's just like when somebody retires, instead of being sad, I want to celebrate because it has been our honor to have you give of your time. And you are fully deserving of this next new opportunity, and I celebrate you. And I told them it's okay, we can still all be friends.
And we would like to come down and take a picture with you.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Mr. Flowers.
Now on to 10.2. Martin Flowers, Associate Superintendent, Secondary Education, will now join us to give information on Rocklin Unified School District adoption recommendation for language arts, grades 6 through 8.
President Hupp, Trustee, Superintendent Stock. Before I get started, I just want to remind Ms. Anderson that as her direct supervisor, she's still expected to be here because I'm going to do her evaluation before she leaves. Just kidding, just kidding. So, with that, thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening. With me this evening is someone that I frequently thank, Ms. Amanda Bannister, because she has just done a tremendous job leading our curriculum adoptions. But this evening, we'll be presenting information about our English language arts grades 6 through 8. Unfortunately, my colleague, Dr. McDonald, is under the weather a little bit, so he won't be here, but I'm sure Amanda will have all the answers. With that, this looks very familiar. I like to do an overview of the adoption process. Tonight, we'll talk a little bit more about the background and rationale of why ELA in 6th and 8th grade. Amanda will go over the timeline, the committee work, and the recommendation, and then I'll finish up with the public review process and next steps. Again, this looks very familiar. The state of California has a regular schedule in which they update curriculum frameworks. Typically, that's between 6 and 8 years. In this particular one, a couple years longer, but they're working on that. And then publishers take this framework and then they create their curriculum. And as I've been explained before, the State Board of Education approves that in grades K through 8. However, since we're a unified district, 9 through 12, we have to follow a very similar process, and that's one that Ms. Bannister has just really done a great job doing. And that's that last slide there. School districts followed this similar 6 to 8 year adoption timeline, trailing the state by a couple years, and that's kind of where we're at with ELA. As far as the background and rationale, as you can see, in 2016 through 17, Rocklin Unified completed an ELA-ELD adoption in grades 6 through 12. The adopted curriculum was created by the College Board, and that may sound familiar because you know them as Advanced Placement and SAT. In this area, they did have curriculum. Unfortunately, the College Board decided to sunset the Springboard curriculum effective at the end of this year, and that includes all digital access as well as consumable materials. In the summer of 2025, the California State Board of Education has scheduled an ELA-ELD instructional materials follow-up adoption. And what took place here is literally the legislation did not provide funding for this. However, we have contacts. Amanda has networked and has direct contacts with Department of Education. And they've ensured that the ELA framework and standards will not be changing. However, they do have a group working on this, and they're going to be coming out in November just to ensure that any material that's adopted in this area will be aligned. And we've been, once again, we have emails documenting that. So at this time, I'd like to invite my colleague to walk you through the work that she has done.
So this timeline of events is for the ELA curriculum review team. And following the summer 2024 announcement from the College Board of the Springboard sunset, the Ed Services team began gathering information and planning for a curriculum adoption process. And in August of 2025, the full curriculum review team was identified. In September, the team reviewed materials and identified 2 pilot curricula. And the curriculum pilots occurred for 6 weeks each. And they were from October to December, and then the second one, January to February. And we are here in April to recommend the curriculum. This will be followed by the public review process, and we'll return in May to request approval of the proposed curriculum.
So, just real quick, if I can ask, just going back, if you go back one slide, we piloted A and we piloted B. Did we do the same, or we do different curricula at the same school or different curricula at different schools?
Everyone who piloted both curriculum.
Oh.
So pilot A ran for 6 weeks. All of our pilot classrooms tested that curriculum, and pilot B ran for 6 weeks. Everyone tested that curriculum.
Thank you.
So the review of the committee's work, it included reviewing, because it's not a new ELA-ELD curriculum framework or standards, but we did complete a review process of that to refresh. We also utilized our toolkit to review the instructional materials. We A few of the programmatic features we look at are standards alignment, the program organization, teacher support, etc. There was further evaluation of the proposed curriculum that was completed through piloting in select 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms. This happened during fall 2025 and winter 2026. And in addition, parents were involved in the committee process. Included in this work was the novel or long reads selections. And the publisher provided a list of 5 to 6 recommended novel options that are aligned thematically to each unit at each grade level. So this is approximately 30 titles per grade level. Educational services utilize professional book reviews and grade level recommendations, as well as current use in our USD classes to narrow the list to 12 to 15 titles per grade level. The committee then used a selection process to further narrow that to identify 3 to 4 titles per grade level. And from this list, the committee will identify 1 book per grade level to be purchased as core literature. So now that we've talked about the process, the recommended textbook is Into Literature by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, or HMH. And the recommended novels that are part of the curriculum, because they are aligned thematically to the textbook units, are listed here on this slide. You'll see there are 3 to 4 titles per grade level. As previously mentioned, the committee will select 1 of these titles as core literature at each grade level. And then below that, a few reminders about our current practices. There's an annual review of sensitive issues, board policy 6144.1, with all teachers and administrators. Families are notified of instructional materials and novels through the course syllabi, and alternative novels are available by family request. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Flowers.
So as required by California Education Code 60202, public review is required for 30 days, and we'd like to start that process tomorrow. In addition to that, Ed Code 6002 states that each district must have parent involvement, which we have through the committee led by the recommendation of the board. We reach out to all parents, and then we're committed to making all this material available 24/7. And a shout out to Chief Communications Dosanjh for his work. All this will be available on the webpage. Part of that public review process, there it is right there. That looks like a live link. That will not be live until tomorrow. But digital access will be available, and then staff will be able to answer questions. And then in accordance to the board direction, comments may be submitted directly to the board's district email address. With that, as far as next steps, on May 27th, the ELA curriculum adoption will be presented as a board action item, and if approved at that meeting, curriculum will be purchased and delivered to sites. Professional development on the new curriculum will be provided, and then ongoing support through Amanda and other program specialists, and then supported by our professional learning communities. So we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I had a question about the novels. So it's been narrowed down to 3 to 4 per grade level, and then you said from there, 1 core book per grade will be purchased. So does that mean that teachers are only assigning 1 full-length novel in the school year, or they can assign other books outside of that? I've read a lot lately, you probably have too, about a decrease in schools of having students read full-length novels, and they're just reading excerpts or shorter pieces, and just the potential impacts of that. So I was just wondering how that will actually play out.
Thanks, great question. So the novel that they select for core literature to go alongside the Into Literature will be 1 title that will be thematically connected. That being said, they likely will be utilizing current novels that they're teaching in their classroom, continuing to teach those, and then likely depends if they'll do 1, 2, 3, or 4 on their independent reading practice, that a lot of teachers, so it varies from 2 to 3 per grade level, but we will bring 1 as the core curriculum with this adoption.
That's tied to the theme. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
With Springboard making this change prior to the state really finishing their analysis and reporting out to schools, it creates this kind of awkward gap. I know you spoke to it of we got in writing that they're not planning to change the framework. But I'm just wondering, have we reached out and kind of assessed what neighboring school districts are doing regarding this gap of Springboard materials, but also are some opting to wait until we hear from the state?
I think that it varies. We did reach out to neighboring districts. We have Roseville City School District, who previously utilized Springboard. They actually made a shift a couple of years ago, I believe, to a different curriculum. So they even were ahead of the sunset. I don't know if they had advance notice that we did not, but they made that shift. And that was a recent shift. We can get the specific date. I don't know it off the top of my head. And then I know I've spoken with partners, our Springboard partners in Fresno, and they currently are trying to gobble up any extra supply so that they can wait. But the extra supply is diminished. It's gone. So different districts are doing different things in these circumstances, but our closest neighbor did move forward with a different textbook.
Okay, I just asked because, of course, I want our students and our staff to have the materials they need. I also want to make sure we're making a wise fiduciary decision that we're not purchasing curriculum and materials to only find out from the state in a year or two we need to purchase new materials. So I appreciate the conversations that you're having with the state. I do know the state often changes their mind, so it makes me slightly anxious right before they're coming out with something, but I appreciate that information. I would just encourage additional conversation with our neighboring districts. I think it might be really good, especially if they, have recommendations that can just be shared with the committee. I always think that's beneficial. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's share knowledge that we are uncovering in our local districts. I'm sure they have similar populations as ours, and so that could benefit us. And then additionally, I just want to appreciate the information given to us tonight, and just a reminder to the community that this is not yet a recommendation by the board. This is a recommendation coming to the board. And so starting tomorrow, I believe, the 30-day review period starts. So for those listening in, that means starting tomorrow, we have 30 days to read the curriculum, look through these books. I'm not personally familiar with all of these books, and so I encourage maybe a reading group. Everybody take one and let us know your thoughts. But I really look forward to the recommendations of the committee as well. I think that's really important work and necessary, needed. I also think it's really important that the board hears from the community. So just a reminder out to the community, we have 30 days to preview this material. This is the appropriate time to do so. And I look forward to hearing those recommendations, not only from the committee, but also our community members as well.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here tonight, Amanda. I know you waited all the way till the end.
Thank you.
And now we'll ask Marty to continue to present revisions to Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 3515, Campus Security.
President Hupp, Trustee, Superintendent Stock, the proposed revisions to Board Policy and Administrative Regulations 3515, Campus Security, are consistent with current practices that ensure RUSD complies with required components of current legislation. And I want to go back to comments made by Trustee Sutherland and Trustee Counter. Yesterday we had our final District Safety Committee. One of the things they talked about is talking about everything we do in regards to safety. And so as I was preparing for this, typically I know this is an information item and trustees may just ask a couple questions, but I really want to call out because what I see here is a lot of thank yous. Specifically in board policy, this is the CSBA recommendation. And that first new information in there about cybersecurity and digital media, I want to call out our Chief Technology Officer, Ryan Johnson, and Chief Communications, Sandeep Dosanjh, because they're on this. Mr. Johnson, he's in the back there. Cybersecurity, he's dealing with this. And as you know, literally, and he could probably give you the exact information, but literally, there's thousands of times a day that people are trying to get into our system. We're all aware of other local areas that might have been hit and taken over, but that's something that he does, and as well as Chief Communications. I just call you Sandeep all the time. I'm sorry, Dosanjh. He's constantly looking at this, and frequently he'll come over and say, hey, Marty, have you heard about this? Have you done this? And we're always on that. In regards to the reporting and responding threats, I want to give a shout out to Director Davidson and Julie Kassler. This is really talking about our BTAM, our Behavioral Threat and Assessment Management, and this is something that Trustee Sutherland and I, going back probably 2 summers ago, we sat in and did this training ourselves, because with everything students are going through and the mental health of students, we need to make sure that we recognize those things, and that's what I'm most proud of in our district, is the relationships that our teachers, our counselors, our administrators build with students, where when you look at someone, you see they're just out of sort a little bit, let's take an extra second and step in there and just check on them, make sure they're okay. Specifically, some of the language they go in there is any perceived threats. If you see something as far as a student writing a picture of something on a notebook, or maybe a writing that they do in a creative writing thing that might just be out of touch a little bit, it's our job and responsibility to step in there and make sure they're getting the help that they may be needing. Also, as you go through, it talks a little bit about our work with law enforcement. We're so proud, and again, a shout out to the board. We're very fortunate. We have 3 resource officers patrolling, or I shouldn't say patrolling, serving our students at our comprehensive sites, and then one that goes in between our middle schools. And once again, they're not there to enforce the law. They're really there to increase the safety of our environment and build those relationships with students, so they see looking at law enforcement as really a positive interaction and not necessarily a negative one. As you continue on and you look at the regulation, again, as I look at this, I'm proud of the fact that about 20 months ago, thank the board for allowing us to go out for a third party to look at those vulnerability assessments. And then not only doing that, but once those reports came back, took action and granted $1.5 million to increase the safety. And we're working on that as we speak. In the first little area, it talks a little bit about parking lot safety. And when I think of when I do get an opportunity to go out and visit our elementary sites and all the little kids, and again, I'm a secondary person, but they're all cute. And sometimes, they get excited. And sometimes they don't think about running out. And one of the things we're going to do is Rain and his crew, I appreciate their efforts. Every parking lot in the district, they're going to get speed bumps and our ballards, our fencing to protect a lot of our littles, but also at our high school when they get that driver's license and they might think they're a little too cool and they might hit that gas a little too much, those speed bumps are going to slow them down. And again, as you go through, I won't go over everything, but discourage trespassing. We're going to put thousands of dollars into signage and making sure they go through. Requiring visitor registration. As you know, Chief Technology, every school has a guest sign-in now. Providing staff and students their ID tags. We're asking everyone to wear this. And if you recall, when our third party did go out and do their vulnerability assessments, every campus, an adult walked up and said, "Hi, how are you today? Can I help you? Why are you on my campus? You look like a stranger danger." So all things that I'm extremely proud of. And then as you go through and you look at vandalism and graffiti, again, shout out to Rain and his crew. On the rare occasion we get something, it's identified in the morning, and most frequently it's cleaned up before school even starts. And our campuses are beautiful because of that. And as you go through, again, our anonymous crime reporting, every one of our websites, including our district website, has that anonymous reporting. I get every one of those that come in from secondary, and every day we're getting stuff, whether they're turning in other kids because of our motto, if you see something, say something. They do a great job with that, and our administrators, that's their job. Our number one job is really to not only educate, but provide that safe environment. And I'm just very proud of what Rocklin has done. And again, I thank the board for their dedication, $1.5 million, and those vulnerability assessments. So I really feel as we look at this new information, we are doing a great job. However, safety will continue to be our priority, and we'll continue to do everything we can to improve and provide those safe campuses. So that was a little extended introduction, but again, as it was called out in that meeting, and I wanted to communicate that because I really want to make sure our community understands that we do take safety as our number one priority. Are there any questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marty. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
I really appreciate your enthusiasm on this topic. That's why we, have you so involved in all of this safety meeting. Definitely happy to hear an emphasis on the see something, say something. Hopefully, teachers all feel very well informed of how to do that, and they are encouraged to do that, and that they're getting a timely response. It's been a very eye-opening team, for me in my own day job, to be involved in that and really seeing how that enhanced communication within the campus and with outside agencies can identify these situations. Like we learned in that training, when bad events happen, it's never without indicators, and so it's a matter of finding those. And so very pleased to have this included in our board policy and AR.
Just a question on the language. Appreciate your work on all of this. On the policy 3515, there's a section where it talks about reporting, responding to threats, but then it specifically says health or safety threats. And I just was wondering maybe some examples of what a health threat might be as it relates to campus security policies.
Yeah, that's really about student mental health and a student that may be suicidal. We want to make sure that, like I mentioned, if anything that we see that's out of the ordinary, and again, as I listen and even listen to myself talk, one of the things we have to do is make sure all of our staff is trained on this to recognize that. And in the training we went to, our bus drivers, frequently they're the ones that spend quite a bit of time with students. When they see a student just acting differently, they can call out. But yeah, a lot of this is really dealing with the mental health kind of crisis that we've seen really post-COVID.
Got you. Okay, makes sense. Then also, in looking at the language of both the regulation and the policy, I was a little surprised. Unless I missed it, I didn't see any call-outs or any language mentioning the SROs or our great collaboration with our local PD. And with it being campus security, I think it would be a really good idea to have some sort of language open to where, or even some of the verbiage. I know this is just an info items tonight, but just wanted to share. I do think making it clear to our staff and our families in our policy that we shall consult with our local PD. And it could even say, or shall collaborate with local law enforcement. I just think it's really important to do a call out like that on our campus security policies.
Be happy to, again, work with you as an information item and make those necessary additions, and then bring this back as an action item.
And so
Second to the last sentence.
That they're in the collaboration of the prevention, yes. So just to be clear, because as I understand it, unless I misunderstand that paragraph, I understand that paragraph to say we must report to law enforcement. What I'm hoping is we've done some incredible work, and I believe the board has set a standard that we do preventative work with our local PD. So totally open to language, but am I misunderstanding that paragraph?
I believe you're understanding it correctly. It does call it in there, and that's really ed code language, but you are so correct. We do have a great working relationship with our local police department and our SROs. I'm sure we could figure out a way to add some additional language in there.
And I think it just refines the work we do, right? We've had suggestions that I've come up with that after then meeting with our local PD, they go, that's great. Now let me explain this side of it. And so I actually think not just to do a nod to our relationship, but actually I really believe if we're going to have campus policies, our local PD should be involved in the process of establishing those.
In trustees, there may also be under the policy, if you look at the right above surveillance systems, where on the superintendent designee may form a multidisciplinary team. in order to identify, assess, manage, that we could add a sentence right below that that says the district shall coordinate and cooperate with local law enforcement agencies. So something in that lane, and what we'll do is in the when the item comes back to the board, we'll include language right there in that calls out that that's a requirement for us, and see if that meets.
And I will say, in the training that Trustee Sutherland and I, our SROs were invited. They did attend with me, so they are fully aware of BTAM, and they do participate when present. But as Superintendent Stock said, I'd be happy to add language there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for all your work and enthusiasm.
Thank you.
All right, so next we have public comment, but I only have one comment card. Christy Boothby? Okay, so I will go ahead and read and open agenda item 11.1. And we want to remind everyone that this agenda item is to give anyone in attendance an opportunity to address the board on non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of the school district. The board is not permitted to deliberate or take action on non-agenda items, but may refer the matter to a staff member for follow-up. A complaint about a specific employee of the district shall be made to that employee's immediate supervisor or the principal as required by Administrative Regulation 1312.1. For verbal comments, please fill out a green public comment card, complete with all information, and turn it in prior to the agenda item being closed. When you approach the podium, restate your name, the city you live in, and the schools your children attend. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. All comments should be respectful. Thank you. And Christy, please come on up.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and staff. My name is Christy Boothby. I am a Montessori teacher. I am also a proud parent of 2 Whitney High School alumni, and I am a longtime Rocklin resident. I am here tonight not just to raise concerns, but to ask for something more important, partnership. As you know, MMCA and RUSD both have title interests in our property. Right now, we are facing a proposal from an out-of-state developer that directly impacts both of us. I want to show you what this actually looks like. I do have some pictures. Sorry, I can't show it on the screen, but the proposal places a parking lot 9 feet higher than our kindergarten playground, and it's only 13 feet away. If you look at the elevation on this, the parking lot is above it. Cars are above our parking lot, and as we were talking about the safety plan, kids could hit the gas, or people could hit the gas instead of the brake, and there's no bollards, no speed bumps, no nothing to stop them from going over into our kindergarten playground where our kids are at. So we also, it's a property that they're going to be building things. If you've ever been to 12 Bridges and you've seen the La Quinta, they're putting 3.5 La Quinta buildings on a small 4-acre lot right next to our school. So there's some concerns we would like to work with you guys on. First, the project says that 60 parking spots are short. Where are those people going to park? They're going to park in our parking lot. The developer is saying that the easements that we have, that they can go ahead and have their people park in our parking lot, and it's okay. It's not. So real quick, I'm asking for 3 things tonight. First, that the district formally engage with us as a co-stakeholder in this. Second, that RUSD work with MMCA and the community to clearly define what is appropriate next to a school. And third, that we present a united front to require study.
Christy, thank you so much. I appreciate you waiting all this time, and we were very glad to hear from you. And also, we are all reachable by email if you have more that you would like to share. Absolutely.
By the way, that
Nice. All right, and we do have 2 more comment cards. And just as they were handed to me, Cody will be first. And I will just please remind you not to use any names of employees or staff. You can speak maybe in generalities. Please.
I'm learning. I feel like I'm living out a dream right now. I'm Kevin Bacon in Footloose, so. So I can say my name. My name is Cody Karor, father of Cannon and Cooper Karor, who both attend Sunset Ranch Elementary. I've been an active member for this community for many years, and for the past 5 years, I've also been a financial donor to Sunset Ranch because I believe in supporting the people who shape our kids and my kids' lives. Tonight, I'm here because something kind of shook our family and many others in our community. We learned that one of the teachers at Sunset Ranch, am I allowed to say what that person teaches or no? Okay. At Sunset Ranch, was not asked to return as a teacher. When my kids heard the news, they cried. They were generally heartbroken. And I want to emphasize something that I think everyone here knows. Most of the time, your kids complain about teachers and how mean they are, as opposed to complaining about their teachers leaving. This teacher is one that runs up to kids, not away from them. They are kind, and they make them feel seen, encouraged, and capable. For the first time in a long time, we have a teacher in this area that I think really helps the students and brings the best out of them. And now we're letting them go. It feels like we finally got it right, and suddenly it's being taken away. The impact this teacher has doesn't stop at the school bell rings or when his teaching hours are over. This teacher has been seen at many different events: baseball, football, basketball, softball, soccer, cross-country meets, plays, to support his students that ask him to attend. This kind of dedication is rare, it's meaningful, and it's exactly what we want in our educators. I understand you guys aren't required to let us know why that person is not being invited back. I just hope that you revisit this one, the emotional impact that it's had on our students as well as the parents. The parents felt so strongly, they signed a petition that we kind of presented, and we have those numbers here with us. But essentially, please, I thank you for your time. I request.
Cody, thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time out of your day, your family, your life, to come here and speak on behalf of a teacher. We appreciate that more than you know, and also I'm sure that many of us would like to come down and speak to you after the meeting and maybe hear some more details. Okay, thank you. And Jake, you're up next. You have 2 minutes, Jake. Thank you.
Back to follow. I'm actually speaking on the same topic as well. I don't have anything rehearsed or anything, so I'm going to speak from the heart. I just want to say I have 2 sons that are currently enrolled in Sunset Ranch Elementary School. There's another on the way, TK, next year. I'm really looking forward to it. And we fell in love with Rocklin. We moved here about 4 years ago, and we have nothing but great things to say about the school district. And my son, too, was also impacted, not just because he's an athlete or a certain, with this teacher and what he happens to teach. But we're really kind of moved by it. And, I asked him how his friends felt, and we seemed to have oversounding resemblance in the same stories. And, we felt obligated to just kind of ask around and start a petition. And we noticed that it wasn't just a few select children, but a lot more. So again, like Cody has said, we kind of wanted to sign and see if other students were having similar thoughts as our children did, and it seemed to be the case. So we wanted to just bring that to the board's attention. This person has been at many sporting events, going above and beyond, and you guys started this meeting 18 hours ago with highlighting some of our teachers, going above and beyond, right, and giving them recognition. And this person, I feel, has done that, as well as some of the other students and parents that I've spoken to, going above and beyond, his role in the classroom and being part of the community. And I think that's what we strive for. It's part of the reason why we love Rocklin and the incredible teachers we have. I would hate to see this teacher go as well, for reasons that I don't necessarily know, and I understand you guys may not be able to discuss that. But I think that we have a great educator, and I'd like to keep him around. So, thank you.
Awesome. And you too, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. It's rare that people do that, so we appreciate that very much. Yes, this is the last thing that we do, so. All right, so we will move on to item 12.1, pending agenda items. Our board bylaws require 2 trustees to place an item on the agenda. Trustees, do you have an item to discuss for consideration on the pending agenda? Okay, in that case, meeting is adjourned.